Let's talk about the half marathon course for the Independence Road races. This takes place in my hometown on roads that I run quite a bit on throughout the course of the year. So I know every inch of this course, and hopefully I can let you know what to expect if you are running on Saturday morning. Let's start things out with the beginning of the race and the end of the race, which are both at Independence Park right on Bristol Harbor, and you'll start out heading south on Thames Street. There is a very slight uphill, short though, that comes when you take a left-hand turn before turning right onto Hope Street. Then it's flat right along the water there by the America's Cup Museum. Hit that mile marker right around the Lobster Pot restaurant, and then you take a U-turn onto Wood Street. Again, very slight uphill coming at this point, still very early in the race. You'll head up Wood Street for a while before taking a right-hand turn onto Mount Hope Avenue. Now, this has a little bit of up and down, probably more up than down. When you get to DeWolf, that's another left-hand turn, and then there is some downhill coming up here from DeWolf heading back towards the water. You're going to go right down State Street by St. Mary's Church, by the Common, mile 3 as you take the right-hand turn onto High Street, and then another left that takes you back down to the beginning of the East Bay bike path. Now, this is going to be very flat. If there is a breeze out of the south, it'll be somewhat of a tailwind. You hit the 4-mile marker as you're on Papa Squash there, and you are heading right around Bristol Harbor into Colt State Park. Again, very flat at this point in the course. You're going to go up to near Cogshell Farm, not dealing with much in the way of elevation, heading past Cogshell Farm, but right as you get into Colt State Park there is a slight hill coming back down by Narragansett Bay now, and if the wind is out of the south, as it is expected to be, it's not going to be a huge wind, but it will be at your back here, so that'll help a little bit running along the water, and you're still pretty much on the bike path. You'll notice that you hug that water, go by the Bristol Town Beach, up by the soccer fields and the basketball courts there and the softball fields. And this is probably the hilliest part of the race right here. You do have to come up a hill as if you were exiting Colt State Park, but you are going to turn around and come right back down that hill. You're a pretty good distance into the race at this point. You are still in Colt State Park, and you are going to follow more of, this is the old bike path that you're on now, winding around around the park, a little up and down as you go through these woods right here. You've reached, believe it or not, mile 9 by this point. As you continue in Colt State Park, you can see that you're backtracking on some of the path that you've already taken, and you're heading eventually back around to the water of Narragansett Bay. So at mile 10, you're back onto this wider part of the bike path. It is flat right along the water there, but when you take a turn uphill, heading in the direction of Cogshell again, then it's downhill. Cogshell's pretty quick. You will get through that pretty easily. Very slight uphill before you're back down by the Bristol Yacht Club, and then it's basically flat for the rest of the race, and you can see the finish line at this point, although it is still more than a mile away. You hit that mile 12 marker as you're on Papa Squash, heading back for the East Bay Bike Path, and the finish of this race is along the East Bay Bike Path and then right into Independence Park right there. So it is a beautiful course. There are a couple of hills in there. Again, you get one fairly early in the race when you go off of Wood Street and up Mount Hope Avenue, but you come right back downhill as you head back towards the East Bay Bike Path. And then the second hill is a similar scenario in that you're up a hill and then right back down when you're in Colt State Park. So I wish you the best to all the runners that are taking part in the Independence Road Race on Saturday.